Well, hey everybody, Mr. Mack here. Awful glad that you've tuned in. Now, some of you may have already seen me read the prologue, chapters 1, 2, and 3 of Onward. But somehow, some way, the first two videos were lost. I don't know where they are. So I've decided to redo them and finish the rest of the book. But I'm going to put this on the John Bassett Moore PTO page, but I'm also going to put it on my YouTube channel for my students and whoever would like to listen. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I have talked to people who have, and it's beautiful. It's a great story. Some even call it a tearjerker, if you know what that means. And I'm loving it so far. But anyway, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to begin the story again. The story of Ian, his brother Barley, and their world in Mushroomton. And sometimes a good book deserves a retelling, but you know. But anyway. So, again, the book is called Onward. It is a junior novelization of the movie, adapted by Susan Francis. So let's get started here. I'm going to read you the prologue. The prologue is, so you've got the prologue, and then you have chapter 1. So I mentioned what the prologue was in the original video, but can you tell me what a prologue is? I know many of you out there have read books where it began with a prologue and perhaps maybe ended with an epilogue, but right now we're talking about prologue. What do you think a prologue is? And gosh, I hope I don't forget, but when we get to the end of the prologue, I'll ask again, wait for you to tell me, magically hear you, and then give you the answer. But let's start. Long, long ago, before smartphones, televisions, and even electricity, the world was a very different place. Sprites and unicorns soared across the skies as centaurs, satyrs, cyclops, elves, and merfolk frolicked below. The world was full of wonder. It was adventurous. It was exciting. And best of all, there was magic. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a great place to me. During those wondrous days, wizards would cast spells, shouting incantations like Bombastia and Flame Infernar and Voltar Thundazar. Magic would burst from their staffs. That's a little staff, but magic would burst from their staffs with dazzling beams of light. Those who mastered magic tackled unfathomable challenges. Skilled wizards could make objects float, create fire, or even assist a warrior on a quest by defeating terrible beasts such as hydras and dragons. Wizards didn't hesitate to help those in need, and everyone enjoyed what magic could do. Magic could be used for wonderful, glorious things. But it wasn't easy. Becoming a wizard required patience, practice, and persistence. And only those with the gift of magic could perform the spells. So, with new technology, the world found simpler ways to get by. Instead of taking years to learn how to perform the light spell, even the lowliest elf could now just flick on a switch, turn on an electric light bulb, or they could turn on a gas stove, turn the knob, and make fire without any kind of a spell. Eventually, the students of wizardry tossed away their staffs, ready for the life of ease that technology made possible. Technology is great, but you know. Soon, everyone embraced toasters, gas fireplaces, buses, and cars, and became accustomed to all the conveniences of modern life. Sprites traveled for work by airplane instead of using their wings to fly. Centaurs drove instead of galloping across the land. You know, centaur, half man, half horse. Bored teens played video games or gazed at their smartphones instead of setting off on adventurous quests. Thus, over time, magic faded away. Boy, that's a shame. So that was the prologue. So what do you think a prologue is? Go ahead. Talk amongst yourselves. What is a prologue? I heard it. Somebody kind of said it. The prologue is the beginning. Before the beginning, it sets us up, us being the reader. It sets us up for what is to come. So the prologue, a lot of books have prologues, where the author is kind of letting us know something essential, something. And right now, what is it you think the author is trying to tell us? Well, come on. Yeah, again, I heard it. I heard it out there, absolutely. The author's trying to tell us that magic is gone. Technology has taken over the world. People have forgotten. Creatures have forgotten how to stop and smell the roses, so to speak. Chapter 1. The sun rose over the city of New Mushroomton as residents began their morning routines. Garbage trucks picked up trash along suburban streets. Scavenging unicorns scattered as the trucks rolled by. Ian Lightfoot, a shy, awkward elf, was inside his cozy mushroom home getting ready for school. His eyes landed on the calendar on his desk, and he focused on the date. It was circled, and he had written there, Happy 16th birthday. So it's Ian's 16th birthday. He took a deep breath and headed down the stairs with his head held high, ready to take on the day, hopeful that age 16 would mark the beginning of a bright new chapter in his life. Isn't that what birthdays do? Each year you begin anew, you begin again. Loud, pulsating music blared from the living room. Ian's mother, Laurel, was dressed in her workout clothes and exercising in front of the television. She followed along with a Cyclops, barking out commands on the TV. We're gonna get Warrior Z90 fit. Let me hear you say, mighty warrior. Morning, Mom, Ian called over the music. Mom, morning, Mom. Well, she still didn't hear him. The guy on the TV, the Cyclops, was too loud. She was too energetic, too much into her exercising. But the family pet, Blazy, the dragon, heard him. Little Blazy blasted into the room. Ian screamed, ah, as she tackled him to the ground and licked him all over his face. Chances are real good you have dogs that do the same thing. Finally noticing Ian trapped beneath the wiry dragon, Laurel grabbed a spray bottle and squirted the energetic pet with water. Blazy, Blazy, bad dragon, back to your lair. She scolded Blazy. Blazy looked back and blew her a small puff of fire before trotting back to his lair. When Ian got back on his feet, Laurel attacked him with kisses. Oh, happy birthday, my adult man, she squealed. Ugh, Mom, no, stop, ew. He was laughing, but he squirmed away. Mom, that's gross. Hey, buddy, don't wipe off my kisses, Laurel said. And she gazed back at him and just looked at him. Ian looked back at her and said, What? Oh, you're wearing your dad's sweatshirt, she said. Oh, well, finally fits. Oh, my little chubby cheeks is all grown up, Laurel cooed, moving toward him again. Okay, Mom, okay, Ian said. I got to go get something to eat before school. So Ian headed for the kitchen. Laurel followed him. Well, honey, we don't have much food. I still have to go to the store. And Ian reached toward the covered platter inside the refrigerator, and Laurel smacked his hand. Hey, mister, hands off. Those are for your party tonight. Ian grabbed the milk from the fridge and closed the door. It's not really a party, Mom, is it? I mean, it's only going to be us. He pulled the last box of cereal out of the cabinet and emptied what little of it was left in his bowl. Well, you know you could invite those kids from your science class. They're pretty nice. They seem pretty rockin'. She opened a container of protein powder. I'm pretty sure they're fine, but I'm pretty sure they're not really rockin', Ian replied. And besides, Mom, I don't really even know them. Well, your birthday is a day to try new things. Be the new you. Laurel poured the powder into the blender, added water, secured the top, and hit the power button. Brrr! The thing roared to life as loud as can be, and she screamed, "Speaking of trying new things, did you sign up for driver's practice? You know, driver's ed. You're 16 after all." "No," shouted Ian as Laurel turned off the blender. No, Mom, I didn't." Laurel poured her protein shake into a glass. "I know you're a little scared to drive, sweetie pie, but..." "Mom, me? I'm not scared to drive." And he gestured to the board game that was sitting on the kitchen table. The game was called Quests of Yore, and it was set up on the kitchen table by his older brother Barley last night, and he never cleaned it up. Small pewter figurines, dice, and cards had been carefully placed across the board. Mom, I'm going to move Barley's game." "Okay, but honey, you know how he gets when somebody touches his board." As Ian approached the kitchen table, he tripped on a plastic weapon on the floor and nearly dropped his cereal. He caught himself, put the bowl down, and reached for one of the figurines. "Well, he's going to learn to clean up his toys, Mom." Just then, Ian screamed as a thick arm, grabbed him suddenly from behind and wrapped around his neck, and a booming voice yelled, "Halt!" So that was chapter 1. So far, Ian's having a pretty good morning. I mean, it is his birthday after all. But then again, someone has their arm around his neck. Any idea who that somebody might be? Take a guess. We'll see. Chapter 2. Ian was pulled into the hulking chest of his older brother Barley. "Doth my brother dare disrupt an active campaign?" said Barley, and he wrestled Ian away from the game, knocking the bowl of cereal to the floor. Oh, come on, Barley, let go," he said. "You know, Ian, in the days of old, a boy of 16 would have his strength tested in the swamps of despair," said Barley, his arm still wrapped around Ian's neck. "I'm not testing anything, just... Barley, let me go." "Let him go," said Laurel. Barley smiled and released him. "Okay, but I know you're stronger than that. You know, there's a mighty warrior inside you. You just gotta let it out. Yeah. Right, Mom?" Barley turned to Laurel and pounced on her, instantly putting her in the same chokehold. She laughed, and fought back, but then recoiled. "Ooh, P.U., Barley, you stink. When's the last time you showered?" They playfully wrestled as Blazy ran back into the room and roared and leaped around them excitedly. And in the midst of the chaos, Ian just cleaned up his cereal because it had gotten knocked over. "If you tried a little harder, you actually could probably wiggle out of this," said Barley. Laurel smirked and flipped Barley onto his back, knocking the air right out of him. Laurel did get out of that. "See," said Barley, catching his breath. "Mom knows how to let her inner warrior out." Still on his back, Barley reached up for a high five with his mom. Thank you, dear. Now, please take out the trash." Barley grabbed the bag of trash and carried it through the back door. But as soon as he stepped outside, he heard the distant sounds of a police radio. Officer Bronco, he groaned. A mustached centaur cop wearing mirrored aviator sunglasses stepped in from the shadows. Barley, 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 said Officer Bronco, shaking his head. Every time the city tries to tear down an old piece of rubble, I gotta drag my rear end down here and deal with you. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, said Barley. Oh, really, said Colt. And he took out his phone and he played a streaming video. Just look at this. The footage showed Barley clinging to an ancient fountain the night before. I won't let you tear down this fountain, he exclaimed. And a crowd of construction workers and cops yelled at him as he continued to shout. Ancient warriors on grand quest drank from its flowing waters. Colt turned off his phone and looked at Barley with an eyebrow raised. Laura, who'd been standing in the doorway long enough to see her son in that video, said, Barley. Well, they're destroying this town's past, Mom, he exclaimed. And last night, someone destroyed a bulldozer. Any idea who that might have been? Barley just shrugged. Laurel turned to Colt with another sigh. Come on in, Colt. Come on in and rest your haunches for a minute. Well, thank you, hon, said Colt. And he entered the house and gave Laura a kiss. Barley and Ian winced. Ew. The sight of their mother and her boyfriend was gross. Colt approached Ian and he grinned. Well, hey there, birthday boy. So, you working hard or hardly working? And he punched Ian in the shoulder a little bit too hard and let out a horsey laugh. Oh, no, thanks, Colt. I'm just making some toast here. Ian got down the jar of jam. Laurel narrowed her eyes at her older son, Barley, and said, I am serious, Barley. You need to start thinking less about the past and more about your future. Colt turned and accidentally knocked Ian's toast out of his hand with his tail. It fell to the floor, of course, jam side down, before Ian could even react. Blazy, of course, whipped right by and snatched it up. Ian sighed and started making himself another piece of toast. You know, she's right, said Colt. You can't spend all day playing that board game, Barley. And he plopped his lower horse half onto a chair at the kitchen table. The pewter figurines on the board rattled as his big horse butt hit the table. Barley gasped. Quest of Yore isn't just a board game. It's a historically based role-playing scenario. And he said, quickly setting the pieces back in place. Did you know that in the old days, centaurs could run 70 miles an hour, huh? I own a vehicle I don't need to run, said Colt. Barley turned to his brother. Well, Ian, you could definitely learn a lot from Quests of Yore, this great game. You want to play? I really don't, Barley, but thank you. Oh, you could be a crafty rogue, or, I know, you could be a wizard. And Barley pushed a pewter wizard onto Ian's shoulder and said in a mysterious deep voice, I shall cast a spell on thee. Hey, be careful of Dad's sweatshirt, will you, Barley? Said Ian, looking at the wizard on his shoulder. Oh, I don't even remember Dad's sweatshirt. I don't remember hardly much about him. Well, you do only have like 2 memories of him, right? Asked Ian. No, I got 3. I remember his beard was scratchy, and he had this goofy laugh, and then I used to play that, and then he drummed on his feet a little bit. Something he had always said. He and Ian talked about it 1,000 times. I used to go, said Barley, dun 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 dun. And then he accidentally knocked Ian's toast off the counter. Another breakfast item gone. Ian lunged for it, but it fell to the floor. And as Barley picked up the bread, his spiked wrist bracelet caught the seam of Ian's sweatshirt and snagged it. Barley looked down as Ian gasped, "Oh, it's okay. All you got to do is pull it." And he yanked his arm to break off the thread, but all it did was unravel it more, causing it to open. "Barley!" shouted Laurel, hurrying over and cut the thread. Ian stared at his brother in frustration. And he took a deep breath. "You know what, everybody? I'm just going to go get some food on the way to school. Honey, I'll sew that for you later tonight, okay?" said Laurel. Barley jumped to his feet, slapped on his helmet, picked up his sword. "Wait! By the laws of yore, I must dub thee a man today. Kneel before me." "Oh, that's all right, Barley, please." "I got to get going," said Ian, eager to get out of the house and as far away from his brother Barley as possible. "All right, well, I guess I'll just pick you up later and we'll perform the ceremony at school in front of all your friends." "No. Oh, no, please, please, Barley, don't do that. Please, brother, don't do that. Okay? All right, just bye." Ian quickly ran for the back door. Ready for a fresh start to this day, Ian headed to his favorite fast food restaurant. And as he sat down, he waited for his order. An elf named Gaxton approached. "Hey, go Griffins," said Gaxton, noticing his sweatshirt. "What?" asked Ian, perplexed. Gaxton pointed to the logo on Ian's sweatshirt. "You go to Willowdale College?" And he handed his son a receipt. "Go get this young man's order, son." And his son went to the counter to get Ian's order. "Oh, no, sir, I don't. This was my dad's sweatshirt," and he pointed to where Lightfoot was embroidered on it. "Lightfoot? Wilden Lightfoot?" "Yeah," Ian said, excited to meet someone who had known his father. It was just the thing he needed to turn his morning around. "You're kidding. You know, I went to college with him," said Gaxton, beaming. His smile faded. "Yeah, and boy, I was so sorry to hear that he had passed away." Ian nodded. "Thank you, sir," he said. "You know, your dad was a great guy," Gaxton said. "So confident. When he walked into a room, people noticed him. The man wore the ugliest purple socks, though. Ugliest socks I'd ever seen. Every single day." Ian laughed. "What? He did? Well, why?" "You know what? That's exactly what we asked him. Why do you wear those purple socks?" But he never did answer. He was just bold, I guess. You know, I always wished I had a little bit of that in me. Your dad was pretty awesome." "Yeah? Wow. Well, thank you, sir. I've never heard any of this about him before. Say, do you remember anything else?" Just then, Gaxton's son interrupted them, calling to his dad from the counter and holding up Ian's food. Gaxton apologized as he gestured for his son. "Got to get this guy off to school. Bring it to me, son." And he held out his hand. "It was nice to meet you." "Yeah, you too," said Ian, shaking his hand. Jackson took off, and Ian waited for a moment because he was lost in thought. Wonder what he was thinking about. You can infer. You can use inference for this. You know, inference is when you use your intelligence and figure out what's going on. Some of the best authors use it. We do it. We use it every day. We can tell how somebody's feeling just by looking at them. So how come Ian just sat there? What was he thinking about? Yeah, I'm sure you're right in what you're answering. Absolutely. The author didn't have to tell us that he's sitting there thinking of his dad. Absolutely. You bet. A plan began to form in Ian's mind. He knew what he had to do to kickstart his new year. He was coming up with a plan. After picking up his breakfast, he hurried off to school with a spring in his step. And that's the end of chapter 2. Now, my question to you is, what do you think this plan is? Here I'm going to leave this, end it here at chapter 2 with a question for you. Use what you know about what you've read so far about Ian, especially the end of chapter 2. What do you think? Predict. What do you think this plan is going to be? As he's on his way to school, there's a plan that's hatching. Wonder what it could be. You think about it. And when I come back, I'll ask you, and then we'll talk about it. Now, if you're correct, awesome, spectacular. Give yourself a pat on the back, but if you're not, that's awesome too. Still give yourself a pat on the back, because you know what? Making a prediction is just that. It's making a prediction. You can go further along making a prediction, and if you're wrong, all you got to do is fix it, amend it, you know? But anyway, till next time, I'll see you. Stay safe. Keep those hands washed. Stay in. Be cool. Be awesome to your parents. And I'll talk to you again for chapter 3. Bye.